Well, thank God I already had my cup of coffee. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and today we're going to talk about coffee. I will tell you the recipe to roast the perfect coffee. No, of course, I'm kidding. It's not about that. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm settling on this motivational mood. In the end, it's stuff that I think about constantly. It's stuff that has been with me for a long time. So I'll try to get also some more funny stories when they happen. But for now, you'll have to stick with this motivational stuff. And it's just something that happened this morning after I woke up. And I wanted to get a story around this famous cup of coffee and try to, again, give myself a lesson, but also always try to share something also with you. So what's the story behind this cup of coffee? Last night, my girlfriend had dinner, and after you cook and all that, the kitchen is a mess. So you clean for me personally, it's very important to leave it clean for the morning, especially if it's Sunday into Monday. I feel like if I have my house that is a mess, as I've said in other episodes, I just start the day worse. Whereas when I leave my bedroom and I see that everything is clean, I feel so much more, I feel just better. And especially with the kitchen. So when I woke up this morning, I went to get my coffee, and I grabbed one of the cups, and all of them were clean. And I did make the coffee, and usually I bring it to my desk, I start doing something, and I forget about it. Then the coffee gets stains in the cup, and it's not so easy to clean, so I'm like, okay, let me put it in the dishwasher. The thing is that this morning, it's not a realization, it's something that I obviously know, but at the same time, I don't feel like I've been realizing it that much. And it's not true. I realized it and I know why I do it. It's just that I haven't settled on which side I want to stay. So let me explain to you which are the two sides. The first is that, also pretty logically, I drink my coffee. I don't have to wash it immediately because I do have 8 cups at home. So I use one for every day with all the other dishes, put them in the dishwasher, and all good. Perfect. It doesn't take extra effort. I don't have to think about anything. At the end of the day, I just put it back. The problem is that I don't put them in the dishwasher. Usually I just leave them around the house, which is the first negative trait, because it shows a bit of just lack of interest of the things that you do. You start something, you don't finish it. It's when I see them around, it doesn't make me feel the best. But yet, here we are, I do it. And this happens especially, and this is a bit the point that I want to get across, when all the other things in the house are a bit of a mess, or in general, when all the things around you are not that good, you tend on copying that kind of behavior or looks or whatever, you feel like it surrounds you. It also affects the thing that is in front of you. So this is the example with a cup of coffee where I drink it, everything is a mess, or I have other plates near me, or, the bed is not done. And I'm like, okay, I'll leave it here and I'll do it after, because there's plenty of other stuff. It doesn't change anything. And indeed, it doesn't. Whereas if everything is relatively perfect, clean, and in its place, if I leave that cup of coffee there, it's like it's out of place. And this morning, as I was telling you, everything was clean, everything was good, and I didn't feel like leaving it there. So it took me 4 seconds, just rinse it with water, cleaned it a second, put it back, it was perfect. What I'm trying to get at is that this cup of coffee would have an insanely different value if I just had one. A few weeks ago, I broke one of them. It just dropped. And I felt very sad because I really like those ones. But it got me thinking right now that if for some reason, I kept on losing this cup of coffees because of lack of interest or in general not caring enough about them, I will eventually just reach to having one. And the moment you have one, you do not have that luxury anymore of leaving it around, because it's the only one that you can use. It's the only thing you can rely on. And therefore, your attitude towards it changes completely, even though the behavior behind it, it's exactly the same. So where does the truth lie? Should you consider every cup of coffee as your single one and treat it properly? Or should you just not care, and given that you have that abundancy and luxury, you should just treat it as any of the other ones? And as usual, the response is neither white nor black, it's a bit in the middle. And the thing that I think will make sense and again reduces extremely your the potential of screwing up and not making things right, it's that when you have the time and when you know that you can treat that cup of coffee as your only one, do it. Clean it, put it back, and make sure that, again, in that moment, you have done the thing that was best. Because indeed, that is the best option. Whereas, if you're in a rush, if you don't have time, if, one of the other broke, or whatever it could be, you can rely on your second best option. That being, I'll just leave it there, I'm gonna wash it someday. And eventually, if I need it, I'll just clean it and go with it. So, when put, let's say, when you're questioning your actions and saying, should I do the thing that benefits me now? Or should I do the thing that benefits me in the future? When you have the luxury, always go with the second option. Because you don't know if the next time is going to happen, you'll be able to have that, let's say, luck. And especially, you don't know that tomorrow, again, you might still have that cup of coffee. So if you can, and it should hopefully be every day, look at your cup of coffee and treat it properly. And again, I think it's obvious, but this cup of coffee is just an image and it can reflect on anything that it's in your life. And I think it can relate to people, it can relate to jobs, it can relate to projects, it can relate to school, anything. So just to close on this episode, because we're getting to the end of shower time, treat your coffee right, your cup of coffee right, and think about, let's say, what you will gain in the future. And try not to settle for your momentary pleasure. This was episode 14 of the Shower Podcast, and see you at the next one.